Hello everybody and welcome to the War Room. This one is for this weekend's UFC main event between Dominick Reyes and Jiri Prochazka. Okay, so obviously Dominick Reyes is far more familiar to everybody. Jiri Prochazka has only had one fight in the UFC. Looked fantastic against Volkan Ozdemir, who's, in my opinion, always a very good litmus test for these rising talent. The difference between the two in this scenario is that Prochazka's got a lot more experience. So Dominick Reyes 12-2, Jiri Prochazka is 27-3-1, and there are some more interesting things about his record as well. Quickly, as far as stature goes, Dominick Reyes slightly taller, only by an inch at 6'4". Jiri's 6'3". The reach advantage goes to Jiri by 3 inches though. 77-inch reach for Reyes as opposed to an 80-inch reach for Prochazka. Now, these are both listed as southpaw for Reyes and orthodox for Jiri, which, for the most part is correct. Jiri does switch stance. He will go southpaw. Something that's quite consistent about him switching to southpaw is he tends to throw kicks. He seems to be left leg dominant, the same as Dominick Reyes. Apart from Reyes being southpaw and keeping his power rear leg at the back, Prochazka tends to switch his stance and throw the power rear leg. He does use his lead leg as well when he's southpaw, but he kind of whips it over the top. Anyway. So Dominick Reyes, he was a wrestler through high school. I believe he transferred over to football, and then he came around to mixed martial arts when his collegiate career came to an end. He's a great athlete. He's tall. He's rangy. He's very accurate with his strikes, even though his skill set's not vast. It's effective in the way he uses it. He's had some hard fights in the UFC. He's had some tough tests. For where he is in his career at 14 fights, he's fought a lot of very good guys straight away in the UFC. Obviously he came in, he got a couple of wins, Joachim Christensen and Jeremy Kimball, but then he got a stoppage over Cannonier, who, as we know, is a very dangerous fighter. Obviously a middleweight now, but even so, a dangerous individual. OSP, who's always difficult to deal with, and I feel like OSP was a good example of how this fight could potentially be for Dominick Reyes. So he's very fast, very athletic. He's big for the weight class. He covers distance in awkward and unusual ways because he's not got the most refined of skill sets. He lunges in with stuff quite a lot, and Reyes was able to stay calm and stay at distance in that fight, and I think that's going to be very useful in this one coming up against Prochazka. Volkan Ozdemir split decision, and Chris Weidman, a beautiful knockout of Chris Weidman, and then obviously John Jones and Jan Blachowicz, 2 unsuccessful title attempts. So Dominick Reyes has got a wrestling background. That's always there in case he needs to fall back upon it. He's got an excellent left kick, as I was just talking about. Inside low kick, body kick, head kick. He fires that into every target very, very consistently and powerfully. He finds it very useful to throw it as he's bridging the gap to throw his left hand. Sometimes you'll see him go high kick, then straight into his left hand as a way of mixing up his targets and forcing people to block to the sides and then straight down the center. The straight left is a very dangerous weapon, using it going forwards and moving back. If you think of the OSP fight, at the very end of it, where it could have potentially been called a knockout, but wasn't. That was a slight bump off to the side left hand. Same thing he used against Chris Weidman as well. Bump off to the side left hand. I think that's going to be useful, and I'll show you a clip of Jiri in a moment, which is why I think that. And a great uppercut, as we saw against Cannonier. So, on the flip side, Jiri Prochazka, as I said, most people have only seen him with his one fight in the UFC. Unless you've been following his career through Rising, which he's, it's an extensive career. As I said, 27-3 with 1 draw. He's got 24 knockouts and only 2 submissions, so we can see the direction that his game is weighted. The 2 submissions are triangle and rear naked choke. Funny enough, same as Dominick Reyes, who's only got 2 subs, but that's a rear naked choke and a front choke, kind of like a chin strap guillotine, I would imagine. He's on an 11-fight win streak, obviously his UFC debut and being one of those fights. A few of his opponents before he came into the UFC were of a good level. Some UFC vets, he's got a win over Carl Albrechtsen, who's very good, back in 2017. He's 1-1 with Mo Lawal, stopping him in the most recent one, which was a great performance. And one of his longer fights as well. Of 27 wins, he has 23 first-round finishes. There's a pro and con to that in a moment, which I'll explain. After stopping Mo Lawal at Rising 15, he then went on to beat Fabio Maldonado, who some of you will recognize as a UFC vet, and also CB Dollaway before making his debut. So he was already in a great place career-wise before he made his debut. He got Volkan Ozdemir off the bat, which is a big name straight away. So immediately Prochazka's in the conversations for potential title shots in the future, because we can see his potential on his record. About his style, so he's very awkward in his footwork. He's majority of the time he's orthodox, but he does switch through to southpaw. But then what you'll find is when he starts to flow through his attack and his focus becomes almost tunnel vision on his opponent, and he's chasing them down with a variety of different shots that he uses. He invests heavily in the flying knee, which I've seen it land a couple of times, but not nearly as many times as he would like. It might be an interesting addition to his arsenal in this fight, given the fact that Dominick Reyes, perhaps when he's backing up, one of his 2 options would be to level change. So, you can imagine Reyes backing up, and if he's under pressure and he's not exactly sure which direction to turn because Prochazka's moving in such a random pattern, he may level change, and the flying knee may be there for Jiri. But that is definitely one of his more favorite weapons, and something that I get the feeling he would love on a highlight reel at some point because of how much he uses it. But very fast hands, very accurate punching, almost all aimed at the chin as well. He does throw kicks, but I'm not seeing him to be incredibly effective. He does seem to be vulnerable to the inside low kick as well, which there was a fight. Mark Tanios hit him a few times on the inside leg, and he actually had to take a break from competition. I believe he had a surgery after that fight. He stands very heavy on his lead leg, which is why he's always moving forward and pushing his opponent back, or at least that's his preferred approach. But very heavy on his lead leg, whereas Dominick Reyes is quite good at kind of hanging back a little bit. And that counter left that Dominick Reyes has got, especially when someone's crashing forward as recklessly sometimes as Jiri does, that little drop back straight left from Dominick Reyes is a good secondary option as well as level changing. The other thing you have to consider for Dominick Reyes, talking about the fact that he's got 3 good kicks, is if he can hammer that lead leg, he'll slow Jiri down. He might even be able to injure that lead leg because it has been injured in the past. Body kicks always take the fight out of somebody, and by setting up the inside low kick and the body kick, that opens up the head as well. And southpaw v orthodox, it leaves that power kick open to the open side of his opponent. The kicks always also cover a lot of distance. That's one thing I can't forget to say. When you've got someone that's moving a little erratically, if you start throwing straight punches at them, your chance of hitting them as they're moving laterally is slim. Whereas if you can at least get them moving in the right direction towards the kick, you can kind of sweep across them and something's going to land. And, with Reyes, as I said, he hits to the body and then bounces off with the straight left. So even if it's a segue to attack with the straight left, the kick might be a useful tool for Dominick Reyes in this one. What haven't I talked about? Flying knee. So something that I thought was quite interesting is that Dominick Reyes he's got 9 stoppages on his record out of 12 wins, 7 knockouts and 2 submissions, but all of them in the first round. So if you're Jiri Procházka, the smart thing to do is probably not to go charging forward in the first round. Maybe bide your time a little bit, given the fact that this is a 5-round fight. And as I said, Yuri's got 23 first-round finishes out of 27 fights. So there's a big chunk of his career. There's a caveat to that. 23 first-round finishes, 3 of those are are in Rising, which is the first round is 10 minutes, or at least it used to be. I'm not sure whether it still is. But yeah, so, although it says first round, there are 3 of them that are, 5-6 minutes into the fight. One of them, which is at the end of the first round, which is almost 10 minutes into the fight. But a fast worker. So, it'll be interesting to see how they go as this fight progresses. I'm going to show you a couple of clips here from Jiri in his Rising career. Because he's a lot of fun to watch. And obviously, with him only having one fight in the UFC so far, some people might not be familiar with him. Heavy on the lead leg, as I said. He is a little unorthodox with his approach. But one thing I do like about it, there's the leg. It just seems to hurt him a lot of the time when he gets caught with it. But backing people up, and this is CB Dollaway, as you can recognize, and just to answer anybody's questions before they ask, the reason CB's got shoes on is because it is an option in Rising, or again, at least it used to be. I think it still is. I think the only rule is that he can't kick to the head, but don't quote me on that. But just to answer that question quickly. So what Jiri's been doing in this fight is just basically walking CB down. He's been backing him up and he's been, pushing him around, and he lands he throws a nice little uppercut, which just lifts the head of CB and then hits him with a left hook. The thing I want you to pay attention to as I'm playing these clips through, though, are the feet of Prochazka, because although his hands look a little bit, they're accurate, but they're quite random. The best thing about his movement and his attack is the fact that he takes his feet very well with him. Quite comfortable to switch from one stance to the next to cut his opponent down, and doesn't seem to cross his feet too much when he's attacking. Watch his feet here. He just steps. He flows through his attack very nicely, almost as if everything's automated and the only thing he's thinking about is where his opponent's chin is. He does a lot of head hunting, there's no doubt about that. Here's another example, and this was, the last 10 seconds left in the first round, but it was a 10-minute first round, and he got mauled in this fight. He was on the floor a lot of the time. He was dealing with Albrechtsen, but that flow attack that he's got, where he's just allowing his feet to move. Watch his legs again. You can see how he just steps through range so well. He never seems to be too far forward, even though he looks like he's very aggressive and it's a little out of control. His feet are underneath him. He takes them with him. I think I've got another clip after this, which is even better. Oh, ref cam. No, there we go. So here he is against Mo Lawal, and you can see the same thing here. In the slow-mo replay, you'll see how he switches stance. So he's southpaw, orthodox, switch there, switch to southpaw, back to orthodox. Hang on. I was getting mixed up here. I was getting crossed over. So, where are we? So, orthodox, switch to southpaw with a nice step. Throws the power hook. Then you can see his step through here again. He's back to orthodox. Then Mo Lawal peels off the ropes, and Jiri switches to southpaw. So it's so automatic for him that if he decides he's attacking you, he's going to be able to chase you down no matter where you are. Another reason why perhaps Reyes might want to hang back a little bit and try and walk him onto that straight left, because he does run forward, and this was the rematch with Mo Lawal. He lost the first one and he did run onto a punch, albeit a right hand. There's definitely an opportunity for Reyes to set him up with the left hand. But I just love the way that he flows through range and switches his stance and loads his hips and his shoulders. So it allows him to generate more power than he would if he was not switching through stance. He cuts so much more space down as well. Really nice work. Very, very accurate to the chin. Constantly looking for the head. And given the fact that he's so heavy on the lead leg and he's leaning forward and he has got that long reach, not only can he move his feet and chase you down, but he can also hit you from a good distance. The thing that I was talking about he needs to be concerned about is that counter left from Dominick Reyes. And this is the first fight against Mo Lawal. And what you'll see here is he's recklessly chasing him down and walks onto a right hand. It's a lovely punch by Mo Lawal, it was absolutely made easier by the fact that Jiri was just crashing forward, just chasing after him. This is what he's got to watch out for. And I think the longer into the fight it goes, the more chance he's got of avoiding that happening. As I said, Dominick Reyes has got 9 finishes on his record, but they're all in the first round. It wouldn't be a silly idea to use his wrestling a little bit in this fight, because Jiri has been grounded before. He has been, drowned with pressure. Even though he's come through it, he's been taken down, he's been beaten up. Mo Lawal was all over him for a while. Carl Albrechtsen, as I said, had taken him down and had, caused him a few problems on the ground, forced him to scramble. Even Brandon Halsey, rising 14. That was 6.5 minutes into the first round, but he was taken down and grounded in that fight. So we might see another facet of Dominick Reyes' game here. The smart thing to do with someone as chaotic as Prochazka is perhaps to take them down and nullify them for a little bit, wear them up, beat them up. He's been cut before. Maybe Reyes can open him up with an elbow. For Prochazka, it's about scrambling but staying safe in the early goings and then working his way into range without getting caught with that left hand or the body kick over and over again from Dominick Reyes. And utilizing the variety of his punches. He's got it's not like he's got a wide arsenal. He's got an adaptable arsenal. Wherever his opponent's head is going, he can move his feet and he can fire his hands in that direction, almost instinctively. They're like heat-seeking missiles, as we saw in the Volkan Özdemir fight, and as we've seen all the way through his career in Rising. He's a lot of fun to watch, and I think this is going to be a hell of a light heavyweight clash, which is somewhat in the shadow of UFC 261. So make sure you tune in and watch this one. I'm excited for it, and I think one of these guys is going to be back in the title shot picture very soon. So enjoy the fights, and I'll see you next time.